Hello, everybody. This is Meagan.
And this is Alana.
And welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
So, pew, pew, pew.
Man, and we had to work hard to get here because we had to move our recording around because Alana's gone this weekend. Yep. And then Alana's internet went out.
Just died.
And then we also can't count. So we actually had already done an episode and realized that we hadn't done 100 yet. Yep. And so we had to go back and do the 100th episode.
Back in time.
Yeah, which we're doing. And I woke up sick, but I'm powering through. I'm not. We're doing this 100th episode.
It's happening.
Whether we're just doing it.
Yeah.
Like I don't. As long as you and I can be recorded, we're doing it. Knock on wood. So we're here for the 100th episode. I can't even
believe it. Just crazy. And you guys are still here, and there's more of you. Wow.
Well, I mean, it was just our parents before, so I'm glad there's more of you here. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
I love reading your comments that you send to Alana. She sends them to me because she runs all of our Facebook stuff and all our social media stuff because I think you all know. But do you have exciting news? Do you have a special... Yeah. Do you have anything? I set that up like you did. I don't think you do.
No.
I just was trying to segue over to you.
No, I don't. But it's just crazy. It was kind of sneaking up on us, the numbers in the 90s, and now we're here at 100. And it's gone by quick. We're in our second year as of last month. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's happening, y'all. And yeah, we appreciate you.
You were so reluctant at first. Are you happy to be here?
I'm happy to be here. I look forward to every week.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Imagine I just said on air.
Like, this is the
last one, actually.
This is our 100th and final.
Oh, we should. Goodbye. We really enjoyed you guys. I'm going to cut that into a little teaser to scare people.
Yeah. I would be in shambles if you sprung that on me.
That would be so fucked up.
It would be. And I act like I couldn't it would have to go out. Like, this is live, right? Like, I couldn't possibly recapture that moment. I'm like, well, you said it. So here it is.
It's live.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you're glad to be here. Hit us off with that tea review.
Oh, well, because it's a special day, it is something that you put in your mouth.
Oh, God. No.
It is still liquid.
It's getting worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I have today, you can see this.
Nobody can see it. Not even me. You describe it, please.
It is a little stemless wine glass that says, "You're my person," and Meagan gave it to me years ago.
Aww.
And because it was a special episode, I figured I would go with some vino, as they say.
Oh boy, you did not tell me about this. You always spring the alcohol on me.
You spring the crime on me.
Well,
okay.
That's kind of the point. All right, lay it on me. Is it from a box?
No.
Oh, gosh, you were so offended by that.
How dare you?
I wish you all could have seen her face. She was not happy with me.
I don't drink a lot at home because, Chris doesn't drink and I don't. It's a waste to open a bottle of wine, but he made mushroom stroganoff the other night, so he needed some white wine, so it's perfect. This is a Kim Crawford Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc 2022. Great year, not really. My favorite white wines are New Zealand Sauv Blanc, so this is what we have today.
Oh,
this wine dazzles. Hold on. Oh, dazzles with aromas of intense tropical fruit and fresh cut grass. No.
Is that right?
That's what it says.
That's a good smell. I don't know if that's a good taste.
The palate bursts with passion fruit, citrus, and ripe stone fruit flavors. From exceptional vineyards in New Zealand's famous Marlborough region, we proudly craft this exuberant Sauvignon Blanc. Delicious with fresh seafood, goat cheese salad, or on its own. And I'm pairing it with some crime.
Wow.
Let's go for it.
Wine Time Crimes is here.
Here we go.
We are recording at night.
We
just
are.
FYI.
I'm not.
I know we're usually
I'm not
morning
popping
folk.
this sucker open at 7 a.m.
Oh, that was a lovely noise. No,
Do you know
stop
how they
it.
do that? Should I spit it back? Stop.
Yeah, please. It's too late now, but yeah, I wish you had swished it.
Oh. When I smell it.
You smell the
Oh my
grass?
God. It almost smells like manure.
There's the grass. That was a lovely way of saying fertilizer.
But it tastes good.
Does it? With hints of chamber pot. If we had our own wine, that's what it would be.
To get the flavor. Me at a vineyard is a joke. Okay, so it's a nice sharp wine.
Hit that P.
Really mellow on the body. And it's very zingy. So they were talking about intense bursts of flavor, and they got that right. It's sharp, it's refreshing, it goes down easy. I was going to say A+, but that's not our rating system.
Oh my gosh. For 99 episodes, you have had, not even, you started a little late, so whatever. For the majority of this time, you've had this weird rating system, and then now you're just like, you know what?
A+.
A+.
Yeah.
Well, give it a proper rating. I'm not going to play around with this chaos.
This is one of my favorites. I will give it an intense thrusting thumbs up.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You did that to be mean.
It's an intense thrust.
Stop. Get out. Goodbye.
Cheers.
We are really done. I'm breaking up with you.
Last straw.
All right. Well, I'll just thrust it on over to the crimes. You ready?
I'm ready.
I too have prepared a surprise.
Oh no.
What's your favorite episode?
I mean, two that come to mind. No, one is Ambani, is one of my faves of all time.
Yep, that's the one I wanted.
Okay.
I have 2 female pirates for you today.
Oh my God.
You're going to love it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Apologies right out in front for all the pronunciations.
Oh,
I'm not even going to try. We're in Ireland and we're in China. I'm not even going to try to say this name in Irish.
I got the Irish ones covered.
No, I'm not even going to say her original name. I'm just going to
Really?
go. I can't. I don't know how to say it. I tried really hard.
Grania.
Yes. You know who it is?
If it's a legendary female pirate, I've heard of her.
Yes, Grace O'Malley.
Yes, she's fucking awesome. Oh my
Yes,
God,
she
I'm so
is.
excited.
Do you know how to say her name?
I only know Grania.
Yeah, well, there you go. She said it. So Grace O'Malley, a lot of this, by the way, it's a mix of truth
Legend,
and folk tales and legend because...
Those are my favorites, though.
I know, they're the best. You can get real fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
But she was born in Western Ireland around 1530 in County Mayo.
Would you say it was 1530?
Apologies to Ireland. Most likely at Belclare Castle. Her father, Owen Black Oak O'Malley, was the Irish...
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. He was the Irish chieftain of the O'Malley clan.
Why couldn't I have been named that?
Well, I don't know. Talk to Jackie. And Grace was the only daughter to Black Oak and his wife, Margaret. Being an Irish chieftain was a great honor, and it was also cutthroat.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There were about 60 chieftains in Ireland at this time. So usually when a chieftain passed away, there would be some sort of power struggle or battle or war to take the role. The land and the power didn't necessarily pass on to the chieftain's family, not the wife, not even the son necessarily.
Okay.
To avoid these power struggles, a successor would often be named in advance, but even then, there would be battles among families.
Okay.
To help with these feuds, men would come from Scotland and then pick a side to fight on, almost like a job.
Huh. Like mercenaries.
Yeah, these men were known as the Gallowglass or the Red Shanks. The latter because they wore red tights. That's what historians believe.
Red tights.
And the Red Shanks it was a temporary thing. They showed up for the summer and then they went back.
They're like, weather isn't agreeable in the winter.
I'm just studying abroad. Excuse me. So it is an aggressive world, should we say, that Grace is born into.
Yeah.
But her father is wielding a whole lot of power. And by 1500s times, Grace was born into privilege.
Okay.
One of the books I read, Pirate Queen, The Life of Grace O'Malley by Judith Cook. It's in the source notes. Go ahead and read it.
I will.
But one of my favorite things that she said was that Grace most likely lived in a castle with slop holes for sanitary concerns. And I know that is not the most important thing she said, but that created so many images.
If you combine anything with slop, it's not going to come out very well. It's awful.
Anyway.
Did you say slop hole?
I think that's what she said.
That's
unless she
awful.
Was saying, yeah, I think that's what she said.
So you poop it in a hole and we don't know where it goes.
No, I assume you hit the chamber pot and then the chamber pot hits the hole. Right?
I'm not looking
anyway,
into details.
But seriously, for real, that book has a ton of the history around Ireland and England during Grace's life.
Cool.
And has the full history. So pick it up. Take a listen or take a read.
I'll pick that one up.
But the O'Malleys have wealth during this time because they have sheep and cows. They have honey-based meat on their land. They have vegetables. Grace receives an education. She's fluent in Latin as well.
Wow.
And the O'Malleys' power and livelihood came from their location on Clew Bay.
Okay.
Here they fished, traded, and charged tax for use of their land.
Yeah, I mean, being near the sea and being near a port is just so big back then. Still is today.
Yeah. The O'Malley clan motto was powerful by land and sea.
What do you think? How do you say that in Gaelic?
Don't know. Didn't try.
Irish listeners, get back to us.
Didn't even write it down. At the time of Grace's birth, King Henry is running around and he's attempting to rule over Ireland with...
Fuck you, Henry.
Whoa, that took a turn. He's attempting to rule over Ireland with the Crown of Ireland Act of 1542. He's technically in charge and he's being a bit of a downer.
Probably a jerk about it.
I wrote jerk, yeah. Oh. Dictating haircuts, facial hair, wardrobes, language, and probably more importantly, pressuring the chieftains to submit their land to the crown and to educate their children in certain ways.
It's not cute.
The O'Malleys say, no thanks.
Bye, bitch. You can't sit with us.
It's going to lead to some tension.
Ugh, fuck them up.
Yeah. So Grace is born into all of this.
Yeah.
With Clew Bay as her playground. She knew it very well. She had fallen in love with the ocean at a time when she was supposed to fall in love with a gentleman. Around the age of 12, her father started talking about marriage for his daughter in the upcoming years.
Blech.
But Grace wanted to go to sea with her father.
Yes.
Had she been a boy, that most likely would have been what had happened. However, Grace did have an older half-brother, Donald of the Pipes, and he was not interested. And they don't know if he's called Donald of the Pipes because he, instead of sailing, he liked to sit at home and play the flute, or pipes was also another way of saying wine. So he also might have been just a heavy drinker.
Oh, I was thinking like he liked to sing, had good pipes.
Right? That would make sense too. But I like to picture him playing the flute while Grace is out there just causing chaos. I like to imagine they both flipped the gender stereotypes for the 1500s.
Oh, that's nice.
And just owned it.
Love that.
Anyway, Donald of the Pipes is Pied Piper in it at home. Grace loves the ocean. And since, she's not stepping on Donald's toes, he's at home with his recorder. Her mother and father, listen to her because she says very passionately, I want to go. And then they just say, no, I actually forbid you to go. They use the F word. Because one, she is 12. But I think of more concern, she's a girl. Yeah. She has other duties. And it's not safe for her. The ships are tight quarters with men who are gambling, swearing, and fighting. And they even say that her hair is too long and it would be a safety risk.
Okay.
I guess they've never heard of a braid. But Grace says, fine, don't worry about it. She then chops off all of her hair and hides in her father's ship the next time it takes off.
Love it.
I'm not sure if Grace just appeared once they got far enough out that her dad realized it would be a pain to turn around. Or the other option is that there was actually an attack on the ship and Grace appeared when her father was in danger and attacked the man attacking her father to help save his life. Either way, her father discovers that she's there. And I think he was probably pissed, but also probably pretty proud because he let her go on these voyages with him until she was 16.
Awesome.
So she's getting a ton of experience.
That's
and she's
a lot.
becoming, exactly. And she's becoming a good, whatever they call it, mariner, sailor. Well, she's
they're not pirates yet.
Too. But then at 16, Grace does agree to get married. And she marries Donald O'Flaherty. The marriage it's a smart business move combining their lands, beneficial for each family. Grace comes with a large dowry, as we might expect from Owen's power. Grace would give birth and run the household. That was what she was supposed to do. She does it, but domestic life is pretty boring for her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And she kind of pops out 3 kids right away to kind of get it over with. She's like, there you go, 2 sons and a daughter. I feel like we're good here. Let's do something else now. And Donald was good at fighting, and he was known as Donald of the Battles.
Oh.
To give you a little bit of a taste of the time, there's a rumor that Donald had been asked by his sister to kill her stepson so that her son could be the heir.
Whoa.
It's believed that Donald did it and then had to lay low for a little bit.
Oh my God.
That's what we're talking about.
Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah, it's brutal. Donald and Grace, they were married for 8 years before Donald's death. Obviously in battle because that's his name.
Duh.
One of his castles, Cock Castle.
Stop.
That's what it says. Actually was taken over by a rival clan and he was killed trying to get it back.
How's it spelled?
What do you mean, how is it spelled?
I don't know. Maybe it's a different spelling.
No. Okay. It's the spelling you would imagine in your head. So Grace hears about this, hears that she's now a widow, stages a counterattack.
Oh.
Kills the men who killed her husband and reclaims the castle, thus earning it the unofficial title of Hen's Castle.
Yes. Much better name.
Yeah. I mean, come on. That was easy. At least they didn't go another route.
I won't, but I mean, she captured the Cock Castle.
Here's what's interesting. When Donald died, most of that clan stuck with Grace because this is his clan, not hers.
Oh.
She had to move to be with him.
That shows great leadership.
Exactly, which meant she'd probably been showing leadership up until that moment, right?
For sure.
People to show their loyalty. And what historians think is that Donald's strengths were fighting. That's what he liked to do. That was his vibe.
Of the battle.
Yeah, it's his name, for God's sakes. The other Donald's playing the flute. This one, he's fighting.
Yeah.
So he was gone a lot, doing his thing, pursuing his passions, following his bliss of killing people. And because he was gone a lot, people were struggling because he's their leader and he's gone and, they were hungry. I mean, like,
yikes.
They weren't bored. They were hungry, real problems. And so Grace was solving a lot of those problems in his absence.
Oh my God.
She was a brilliant strategist.
Wait, really quick.
I know, I saw that. You are wearing a pirate shirt today.
That's wild.
You're wearing the Jolly Roger t-shirt.
I am wearing also skeleton earrings, so everything is coming together.
Get out. And you're also Alana of the Pipes, so it's working out. Anyway, so it was thought that she found a way to help people without overpowering Donald as well, which is a delicate balance.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
hard.
Doing that, she gained incredible loyalty. And when Donald passed, a lot of them followed her. Because we're in the 1500s, you'd think it was more rigid, but smelly too, slop holes. But there are aspects of society that are actually a little bit more progressive at the time because of how Christianity was interpreted and because of that region. So for instance, men and women were allowed to divorce.
Nice.
However, marriage came with rules. So in the case of a husband's death, Grace would get her dowry back.
Oh.
But she would not inherit any of the land.
What?
This was not the rule in England. So if she lives in England, that would have been a different rule.
Huh.
So when Donald died, Grace returned home because she didn't want to be ruled by another chieftain. She'd kind of been fake in charge for a minute, and she didn't want to be ruled by another chieftain. And that's when a lot of the clan followed her.
Okay, got it. When she went home.
Yeah. So eventually,
that's so cool.
Owen O'Malley passed away, and it was Grace who took his place. And the running joke became the only man in the O'Malley family was a woman.
Love that.
And they were just so loyal to her.
Yeah.
So she recognized the benefits of their location, and she started growing her fleet on the sea and then charging anyone who wanted to pass through Clew Bay, in addition to offering protection and warding off violence.
Mm-hmm.
Because Grace knew the landscape better than anyone.
Yeah, she grew up there.
So there were hundreds of small islands that could trip up somebody who was either inexperienced at sailing or wasn't used to the area. And so if they didn't pay Grace for her navigation, they would get stuck, and then she would just steal everything on the ship and overtake it.
Yes.
That was basically like, well, fine. See you in about 20 minutes when you get stuck on that sandbar you don't know about.
Love it.
That was basically what they did. So it was charging people to pass through, offering them navigation, and then if they didn't take it, okay, no problem.
That's so smart.
She was also very good at reading the weather. So current day, she'd probably be a meteorologist.
Yeah.
She was very, very good at being able to anticipate storms. She knew when to sail and when to get to land.
Yeah. It's very important.
Yeah, that's kind of crucial. Because of this, because Grace is running Clew Bay, the English started calling her a pirate at this time. Grace saw it differently. It was her home and her business. She started to be called the Queen of the Pirates.
Yes, she did.
She had a crew of about 200 men.
That's a shit ton.
She gambled, fought alongside them. Sometimes she was married. Sometimes she just confabulated. She did her thing.
Good for her.
When her crew caught wind of a shipwreck, they headed out to recover it one day, and they found one survivor. Hugh de Lacy was discovered on the shore, and Grace saved him. And then they fell in love.
Aww.
After just a few months of this affair, the McMahon clan was mad at Grace for something else and murdered Hugh while he was out hunting.
Whoa.
Grace retaliated by waiting for the clan to visit an island, stole their ships, killed the men who killed her man, and took over their castle.
Yeah.
She's not just planning these attacks, she's also fighting in them. She most likely had been trained from a very young age, and she fought with 2 swords, light swords that were more focused on speed and agility.
Yeah.
So she was probably very fast.
Cool.
Rather than like one heavy sword,
Right.
if that's what you're picturing. She had 2 small swords that she would
That's awesome.
do her thing with. After this lost love, Grace decided to marry for a second time to Richard the Iron Burke, who was another chieftain.
Okay.
He ruled part of the bay and the O'Malleys the other. So again, this is a marriage that's smart.
Yeah.
Richard had been married before, and he apparently had a few kids running around. But Grace had a prenup drafted.
What? Back then? That's amazing.
Which stated they would be married for 1 year, and she would decide if the marriage was to continue.
Yes.
She also made sure that Rockfleet Castle, which was part of Richard's estate, would be included in this contract because Rockfleet Castle was in an incredibly strategic spot, and she wanted it.
Nice.
Grace could read, remember. Richard could not.
Oh.
So I'm not sure how much of this prenup he understood. But on the year's mark, Grace was said to call out of the castle window, "I dismiss thee."
What?
And then divorced him.
What? Savage.
But kept the castle.
That's so fucked up.
"I dismiss thee."
Bye.
But people wonder how true that is because even with the divorce or this dismissal, they were incredibly friendly. They did all of their business together. They continued to do all of their business dealings together. And they ended up having a son after this moment.
Oh.
So they were friendly in more ways than one.
Okay.
Grace was actually on a ship out at sea when she delivered their son, who was nicknamed Toby of the Ships.
Toby of the Ships.
Yeah. While Grace has given birth on a ship, can you imagine? For starters, we went over the hygiene of pirates in the Anne Bonny episode, and it's...
No, not to be desired.
So Grace had just given birth. She's downstairs. I don't think it's called downstairs on a boat, but...
Under the poop deck.
Okay, we'll take that.
Below.
Below deck. She's below deck.
There you
Let's
go.
put it that way. And she's nursing Toby of the Ships. When pirates attack her ship.
Bad timing.
Very bad timing. Grace is downstairs kind of waiting it out, hoping her men will take care of it. And when she realizes that they're losing the battle, she becomes furious. So she puts down Toby and she runs upstairs and she flings open the door to step on deck. And she is such a sight that all of the men who have just invaded the ship are startled to like see her and to see a woman. And she's just fuming, and she's probably in a bathrobe, her hair's a mess, and she just pulls out a musket and starts shooting.
Nice.
And basically turns the entire fight around so that she ends up capturing their ships and then executing any of them that survived the fight. So
God, that baby must have had a small head.
Who has a small head?
The baby.
I mean, I don't know. I think she probably has a high pain tolerance.
Wow.
Tolerance. So she went to France. She has a
Frenchy tacos.
Frenchy tacos? What? What'd you say?
I said French attackers.
Oh. Anyway.
Can you imagine doing that after you give birth?
I barely made it to the bathroom by myself the day after I gave birth.
Oh my God.
No, I can't imagine.
Oh, wow.
I can't imagine. For God's sakes. Anyway, maybe she was breastfeeding. Maybe she just walked out, nipples blazing. That's how all the pirate depictions are.
Right.
Yes. Every picture of a female pirate, a nipple is a present.
Yes.
What's wrong with my voice? A present. Yay. I think the sickness is getting to me. Anyway, the nipples are a present, and they just startled everyone, and then she just out of here. She goes back down to resume breastfeeding, and she puts a sign on the door that basically says, like, F off.
Yeah.
I think they said it said do not disturb, but that seems like not what you'd say in the 1500s.
Do not disturb.
Yeah. They didn't have hotels.
Yeah.
She put something on there that said, get lost. Fight your own fights. So with Grace's help, Richard secures his place to take over as successor to the McWilliam of Mayo, which is one of the best, most powerful chiefdoms.
Okay.
Grace and Richard also traveled together to Galway to meet with Sir Henry Sidney on assignment from the Queen of England to discuss business. It was said that Sir Sidney instinctively knew Grace was the one in charge and just talked to her, which is incredibly unusual, right? If you see a husband and wife together, you're going to defer to the husband in 15, whatever. After the meeting, the English basically say, all right, you are easier to deal with if we just let you do your thing. So just go do it over there.
Smart.
And we're not going to bother you.
Smart.
Because the Queen is worried that Spain will invade and then Ireland would side with Spain. So that is her big concern.
Oh, okay.
There are also theories that they're allowing Grace to kind of do her own thing because she might be supplying them with insider information.
Because, I bet because
she can see everything.
She sees everything. She hears everything.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but that's just one of the theories that's floated. But in 1577, Grace was captured.
Oh, no.
The Earl of Desmond arrested Grace during a raid. In a letter, we are making fast judgments about you, Desmond. In a letter, Desmond described Grace as, quote, famous for stoutness of courage and person, and for sundry exploits done by her at sea. I want to be stout by courage and person.
That's a compliment.
I know.
Yeah.
But he's saying she's dangerous. She was locked in Dublin Castle for well over a year before she negotiated her release. For a year?
No, just.
But you're at Dublin Castle?
Yeah.
Wow. Did they talk about Grace O'Malley?
No.
No. Well, that's an oversight. You might want to write them a letter. She negotiated her release by sending. There's two theories: by either sending some of her men to take her place, so that she could go back.
Mm-hmm.
And they also think that was either part of it, or it was paired with the fact that Richard was just going crazy.
Oh.
He was on a full rebellion, and they basically said, can you just go take care of that for us real quick? He's out of control, ma'am.
That's amazing.
She said, yeah, I'll get him under control if you take these two gentlemen in my place. Or I'm making all of this up, but that's a general gist.
Yeah.
In 1580, the McWilliam dies, and if you remember, Richard is supposed to take over.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Of course.
One of the sons tries to take over instead.
Of course.
So Richard had been named the successor, but during this time that he was waiting to become the successor, the McWilliam also succeeded to the crown. So it was a real mess. So Grace and Richard fight to take back the clan and to fight the English to take it back.
Bro.
Yeah. Everybody
calm down.
It was a rough work week, you know what I mean? Grace and Richard use this as a chance. They gain power. They fight back. They use Scotland. They come in. They like, hey, guys, we're over here. We need you for the summer. The Gallo Glass are fighting alongside them. Eventually, Richard is awarded the title.
Phew.
3 years later, Richard dies.
Oh, man.
I don't know how, but...
Bye.
Obviously, Grace was fond of him, but strategically, this is also a blow for Grace. Because this is at a time when Queen Elizabeth is getting really concerned about Spain. And she's getting a little bit more aggressive.
Okay.
She's not happy to just sit tight. What I mean by that is she sends Sir Richard Bingham to Ireland instead of Sir Sidney, who was happy to just let Grace bop around Clew Bay. Sir Bingham wanted to make an example of Grace. And they started to have some battles.
Oh, no.
And Bingham and his men killed 20 of Grace's men, including Grace's adult son, Owen.
No.
Who was thought to have been tortured before murdered, which was only done to him. Bingham said it was because he fought back.
Oh, God.
Which I don't even believe. But Grace was devastated and pissed. So with the O'Malleys and the Burkes, she fights back with the one advantage she has, which is absolute knowledge of the land and sea in that area.
Yeah.
So this allowed her to attack by surprise and then just take off.
Oh, like little ambushes.
Yeah, she kept doing these little ambushes, and then she would either take off by land or sea, whatever they had planned, and it was effective.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bingham was not pleased.
Yeah, real frustrating.
He was a military man, and he strategically tried to win allies with the other Irish clans.
Okay.
Including an alliance with Grace's other adult son. Once Grace found that out, she took her men and attacked her own son, killing a few of his men and burning all of his ships.
Oh. Yeah, go to your room, son.
Yeah, I think you are in timeout for a very long time, sir.
Yes, because you have no boats now.
Our timber, so ashes.
Ooh.
Then Rockfleet Castle, which is the one she had from Richard, right? The strategic, was attacked by Bingham's men and Grace was arrested. She had been told after a very long standoff that there would be a truce. And their paperwork was drawn up and everything. And instead he lied and captured her. She was in jail for months.
Oh, that's got to be rotten.
The sources, again, vary on how she was released. Some say Grace went over Bingham's head to her old friends from when Sidney was in charge and negotiated, again, a trade. Others say that different Irish chieftains banded together and helped get her released.
Yes.
I'm not sure which.
This.
When this happens, though, Bingham is not pleased. He just seals off Clew Bay with an entire fleet and then burns the land that the O'Malleys live on so they can't grow food.
That's messed up.
It is absolute brutal living conditions. They're basically on houseboats just docked. That's all they have for shelter. And they can't, it's famine conditions because he's destroyed all their crops.
And you can only eat so many fish.
Yeah. Again, Grace goes over his head and asks for a meeting with Queen Elizabeth. She makes a plea to the Queen saying she was simply protecting her land and her children. In retaliation to this, Bingham arrests Toby of the Ships, who's now older. Yeah, and her favorite. Charges him with treason, which is punishable by death.
Oh, God.
In her letter, she offers to fight for Elizabeth if her own sons are allowed to keep their land under English law and if Toby is released. The Queen declares that Grace may be allowed to visit. This is near the end of 1593.
Okay.
Now, Queen Elizabeth is interesting on her own because over her reign, she had publicly called out piracy because it's against the law.
Yeah.
Yet she had her own little army she called Sea Dogs that attacked Spanish ships to help her build up her finances in order to run the country.
So, pirate.
Yeah, exactly. She never changed the laws, but secretly relied on her own brand of piracy.
Wow.
So she understood Grace a lot more than people realized.
Yeah.
Plus, they're literally the only two women in power.
Right.
Right? So they have maybe a lot in common.
Yeah.
They might be best friends.
Oh.
Grace is in her 60s now, by the way.
How the fuck does someone survive that long? A, in the 1500s. B, as a warrior.
I know. I mean, just the amount of luck you would have to have.
And on the sea. Like,
I know.
that's crazy.
This is a very dangerous play because this could be a trick.
Yeah.
Just the trip over there is dangerous. She could run into 100 different things, right? But she's a risk taker, clearly. And she heads over to Greenwich where the Summer Palace is.
The Summer Palace.
She's stepping into enemy territory and she had to follow the rules of the queen. So she has to correctly petition. She has to request a meeting, all of this. But when she met the queen, apparently she did not bow.
Oh.
Which was unheard of and implied that Grace saw herself as the queen's equal.
Yeah.
I mean, they do call her Queen of the Pirates.
They do.
There are many little tidbits that came from this fateful meeting. You know, what did Grace wear? What did the queen wear? Who said what? Who did this? My favorite one was that Grace was handed a silk handkerchief at one point. She blew her nose and then threw the silk in the fire, and England was aghast because it was such a fine piece of material. And she basically said, well, it's dirty. So, like, I blew my nose in it. Why would you want it back? That's weird. Let's talk, Queenie.
Oh, that's great.
So the two women, they're both in their 60s. They're the exact same age.
Wow.
They sit down by the fire and they're just chatting.
Just chatting.
Grace details the death of her son Owen, who was brutally murdered by Bingham, asked for protection against the Queen's military with her own promise to only pirate for the Queen. And Elizabeth was into it.
Oh.
She agreed not only to call off Bingham, but insisted that Grace and her family be pardoned. The Queen demanded Toby of the ships be released and that Grace be left to live out her days in peace while receiving a small pension as she aged.
What? Queen Elizabeth loved her.
Loved. That's what I'm saying. Order the BFF necklaces. You know what I mean? Put in an order to the blacksmith.
Truly.
You'll have them there 2 days, Amazon Prime. She went a step further and charged Bingham with the murder of Grace's son, Owen.
Yes.
I mean, if that isn't a successful meeting, I don't know what is.
Wow. Good job.
Yeah. So Grace returned home pretty happy.
Yeah.
Her last known fight was probably around the age of 67 to 70.
Oh my God.
Her son, Toby of the Ships, fought for England and was knighted in 1603, which was the same year that both Grace and the Queen died at the age of 73.
God, they're the same age and died the same year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And Grace O'Malley would have been lost to history if it had not been for the records of her enemies, like Sir Bingham.
Oh my God, I love
Because she
that.
was lost to Irish history. Some wonder if it's just because it was the 1500s, right? And like somebody lit a candle and like everything's gone. Or was it because at the end she made this agreement with the Queen?
And so they saw it as a betrayal maybe.
Yeah. And now she's thought of in Ireland as a symbol of courage and bravery. And there are statues, there's whiskey, there's songs, there's
I'm sure.
there's everything. Yeah, pretty amazing, huh?
Oh, I love her so much.
Yeah.
To do that in the 1500s.
I know. Just smart. All right, are you ready for the next one?
Oh my God, there's another one.
There's more. I know there's another one.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, so nobody even knows the name of this next female pirate. She has several names. I'm going to go with Ching Shih.
Okay.
So it's believed Ching Shih was born in 1775 in China. There are several rumors about what she may have done before piracy. Those stories include a sex worker on a floating brothel.
What?
Which, like a boat.
Yeah.
But that's docked, I'm assuming. Unless it's a raft, which just seems real tricky.
Oh God.
I mean, this is late 1700s, so I don't know. Others say she might have just worked, like done a laborer's job at the docks.
Yeah.
But most people like to say that she worked in the brothel. In 1801, she married the pirate Zheng Yi.
Okay.
Now, National Geographic did a podcast episode with historians Diane Murray and Ronald Poe, which I didn't listen to, but I did read the transcript of, which is essentially the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
So I linked it in the notes.
Okay.
Take a listen. But Murray paints a picture of the pirate business as Ching Shih was stepping into the world. Because in the 1700s, pirates in this area are just mostly fishermen who simply need a part-time job when fishing isn't available.
Okay.
And so there's maybe a dozen men on a ship who are like, hey, we need some stuff. We'll just go steal from that big ship
Okay.
and then we'll go home. Nobody's worried about it. It's kind of just a nuisance.
It's not an identity. People aren't really
Yeah.
gung-ho.
It's just like, we need it. It's going to happen. Once the fish are back, we'll stop.
Okay.
But by the 1800s, pirates become better organized, more
Oh.
full-time, and thus
Okay.
more powerful.
Got it.
It becomes this booming and illegal industry that is terrifying the government.
I'm sure.
So Zheng Yi and Ching Shih have various beginnings to their love story, if you can call it that. One theory is that she was kidnapped and chosen to be his wife. Yeah. Another is that she was a sex worker and they fell in love because he was her client. Some say that Zheng Yi sought her out because her business sense had made ripples.
Okay.
I guess literally.
Yeah.
But we will never know. So right out of the gates, Zheng Yi's ship becomes part of the Tay-Sun Rebellion, and the leaders paid Chinese pirates to be soldiers for them.
Wow.
Which was a new concept because the fleets before had been independent.
Yeah.
And so they had to learn to work together. And then they also gathered military experience while doing it. Maybe in retrospect, it wasn't the smartest thing that they could have decided to do.
This is fascinating.
But when it was over, the ships returned to China, but they no longer have a common goal or a common enemy. So it becomes cutthroat.
Yeah.
And they start fighting each other.
Yep.
But in 1805, Zheng Yi brings the pirates back together, like a reunion tour. He's like, hey, listen, we were doing great before. Why don't we go back to that? And so he and Ching Shih created a hierarchy that he was in charge of. So there are 6 captains, and each would run a subfleet. Each had their own flag. There was the red, black, blue, white, yellow, and purple.
God, this is so fun.
Ching Shih was on the red flag fleet.
Okay.
The strategy was profitable, and it was successful. And it involved pretty serious negotiations because these guys were literally killing each other before.
Yeah.
So that's off with a bang, going great. But in 1807, Zheng Yi dies. Historians are not 100% sure how he died. He either drowned or was hit by a cannonball. Yeah, a very piratey death. Without missing a beat, Ching Shih was like, I'm up, taking over the posts, commanding the entire fleet.
What?
As her husband had done before. So I'm willing to bet, just like with Grace, that maybe she had, it wasn't like she was just below deck sleeping all day. She probably was pretty into things. And again, like with Grace, some of these aspects were more progressive than you might expect because it was very common for the spouse to take over at that time. And so people weren't really questioning it, but this was on a grand scale.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fleet.
So possibly to solidify her reputation, Ching Shih married again. Now, this sounds a little dicey, so bear with me to the end. Technically, she married her adopted son, Cheng Pao. But by adopted, I mean a man who her husband kidnapped and then forced to work on the ship and became so fond of that young man that he started calling him his son and then named him his successor.
How old
which is
he?
I don't know. It's a common practice that if a biological heir is not a parent, then they have this adult adoption.
Okay. Interesting.
But
a layer of politics.
He was kidnapped from his family at some point while he was a teenager. So I'm not 100% sure on how Cheng Pao felt about things. It's also thought that the two men, so Cheng Pao and Zheng Yi, were together like a man and a man.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, but I get, is it?
Well,
or was this predatory? Was Cheng Pao a child or was Cheng Pao an adult?
Right.
I don't know.
That matters.
Yeah, that makes a little bit of a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. But it was not uncommon in this pirate world for like the mentor protege relationship to also be romantic. I don't know. I don't know if this is consensual. I don't know if this is predatory.
They did
I don't know.
that in ancient Greece too, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if it was an open marriage or poly or what was going on. But apparently Cheng Pao and Ching Shih were then together like a man and a woman, and they got married, and Cheng Pao became her second in command on the Red Fleet.
Okay.
He wore a black turban and a long purple cloak, so he sounds awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
The aesthetic.
Pretty impressed with that wardrobe choice.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I say when it sounds gross when you say Ching Shih married her son, but then wait, because she's
Yeah.
actually not the possible weird part of this.
No.
If anybody was weird, it was Zhang Yi, but we don't know. So in charge, Ching Shih took the already impressive fleet. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And expanded it to 400 ships and nearly 70,000 men.
What?
Yes. So to put it in perspective, Grace had about 200, which you were impressed by. Blackbeard had about 300, and he's the most famous pirate around.
70K?
I mean, she's blowing them out of the water. She is undoubtedly the most successful pirate in history, man or woman.
Are there movies? Like, what's going on here? Can we get into this?
I don't know.
Wow.
But Ching Shih ran a tight ship with very strict rules. I think that's the first time I said tight ship and it applied. Here are her rules. No pirate could go on land without permission.
Okay.
The first time you did, your ears were slit.
Whoa, I was going to say a spanking.
A spanking? I don't think that's... No, I think you might be underestimating Ching Shih. The second time you did it, you were beheaded.
Whoa. There's no strike 3.
No. 2 strikes, your head's off. All attacks had to be okayed by Ching Shih. If you disobeyed, beheaded.
That's just... There's
not
so
even a
many
strike
people.
1. Yeah. Any valuables taken were to be divided among the crew by the person in charge after they were inspected. If you broke this rule, first time, severe beating. So, like 1,000 spankings. Second time, beheaded.
What the fuck?
Yeah. There was a strict system in place. So the ship that captured the loot, they could keep 1/5 of it. And then the remainder had to be kind of put into the collective pot to be divided evenly among all of the fleets. Well, I think so.
Wow.
I mean, maybe Ching Shih got a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? She's doing most of the work here. Stealing from each other or supporters, beheaded.
Wow. So this is why she could have so many people, because it really kept them in line from doing dirty shit.
Desert your post. First time, your ears are cut off.
Oh.
No, just your ears. Second time, whole head.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. Now, this is interesting, and this makes me think that maybe she was captured because her next rules center around prisoners. And there were male prisoners as well, but these seem to be mostly to protect female prisoners. Rape was not allowed.
Good.
If you raped, beheaded.
Good. I'm with that one.
Consensual sex was not allowed unless Ching Shih said so.
What? She's the one who consents for the other person?
She has to bless the union.
Bless the union?
Yeah.
With the confabulation?
She thought confabulating got in the way of business. And so she had to be okay with it. And if she wasn't, you're both beheaded.
Wow.
Female prisoners could be wives to pirates if the pirate was faithful and took care of them.
I love this.
If they did not, beheaded.
Yes.
So very effective. 0 repeat offenders.
I love her.
Really?
Is there a picture of her somewhere?
No, just drawing.
Oh.
I like how I say the most violent things and you're just like, oh, how sweet. It's so great. Oh, good for
She's
her.
a real pioneer.
Is she? I mean, that's a lot of heads.
I know, but that's how she's keeping everybody in line. And also she's doing a lot for women this time period.
I mean, also beheading them, potentially. It's thought that women were present in Ching Shih's fleets in several different roles. So there were a bunch of support roles, cooks and things like that.
Medics.
Also, pirate, I don't think they were medics. Let's cool it.
No, maybe.
I'm pretty sure they're like, just grab a leech. You'll be fine. Here's some whiskey.
Someone stitched something up.
Also, pirates sometimes brought their wives with them and traveled with their family. And there were female warriors who were very loyal to Ching Shih.
Oh, cool.
So similar to Grace, because the coast was unprotected and dangerous, Ching Shih would charge a fee to fishermen or any ship that wanted passage for protection. And if they failed to protect the ship, Ching Shih would give a refund. Just so you know. Yeah,
she's very fair.
Well, I mean, beheading seems severe.
Yeah, but you know ahead of time.
Oh, nice pun.
The rules are stated. So
the rule. I'm so sorry, but we clearly told you.
Look at 1A.
Not to leave your post.
Strike 2.
Yeah, since you don't have ears, we're just going to go with the rest of it. She basically built her own military.
Yes.
And then provided protection to whomever paid.
I mean, think about where we start in this story where like fishermen would maybe do it part-time. And now she's like 400 ships.
I know. Ching Shih also raided villages and was just as versatile and strategic on land as she was on sea, much to people's dismay. Ching Shih and her fleets stole gold, silver, silk, porcelain, cotton, and tea.
Oh, tea.
Yeah. I know. It's a real tea time maritime crime. Tea time crimes. They would sell the goods, and Ching Shih also made a little extra income with ransoms. Yeah. So she would steal other mariners, usually the European ones were her favorite. Other sailors were not so lucky. Ching Shih would allow them to live if they just let their cargo go, but if they put up any kind of fight, then she had to make an example of them by, guess
beheading.
What? Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Wow.
She might torture them first for like a show, then beheaded.
Okay, that's a point against her.
If Chinese military members were executed, the pirates would sometimes eat their hearts or feed them to the sharks.
What?
So she's super clear with her messaging, right? Like crystal.
Oh my God.
Still love her?
Wow. I
Still want to tea with her?
Maybe not, but I'm still in awe.
Richard Glasspool was a European sailor who had been captured and used for ransom. For months, he was kept in a small hold of the ship that was overrun by rats.
Oh, what a snack at least.
To survive, he had to eat caterpillars and rice.
Why need the rats?
I assume the rice they fed him and then the caterpillars were his flourishment. I don't know. Why are caterpillars even...
Yeah, that's a weird...
poisonous?
Some of them.
I mean, you can't really cook the rats.
Yeah, but
they
if
have
you're
lots
hungry.
of diseases. Okay, now you're being ridiculous. But Glasspool wasn't just kept locked up. Any of the mariners that Ching Shih captured were also given the choice to be part of the crew.
Oh, okay.
And
Here we go.
If they didn't want to be part of the crew, then she would kill them. So not much of a choice, but a little bit of one. So Glasspool had to run the cannonball because he had experience as a gunner. So she was like, you're in charge of the cannons. I don't know why I said cannonball. It made it sound like he was doing
just
work.
One.
Just hold
focus on this cannonball. I swear to God.
Don't touch anything. Don't light anything, Richard. Just sit there with your caterpillar and hold that cannonball until I say so. Or I'm going to cut your head off. You've seen it happen, Richard. Come on. Because she seemed to like him. Before every battle, she would sprinkle him with garlic water, which was supposed to protect him. So she was like, make sure that cannonball gets where it needs to go, friend.
Oh.
Yeah, but Glasspool reported that Ching Shih's pirates would raid villages and then tie the heads of their victims together by the hair and wear them around their neck.
Also heavy.
Yeah, that's the exact right first answer to that tidbit. Oh, it's so heavy on their cervical spine.
I mean, they have strong necks. I mean, not the people who are beheaded, but you know,
the necklace. That's, I mean, again, beheading. So apparently,
she loves that.
Loves it. Loves it. Anyway, Glasspool was released in December of 1809, and he was had been captive for 4 months worth of caterpillars. So fly away.
Do you think he got
to keep his cannonball?
No.
She was like, take it and run. Sorry. Here's some garlic water and a caterpillar for the ride.
Do you think he got upgraded from caterpillars once he was allowed to play with his cannonball?
She was like, I'm going to give you extra rice and the heart of one of the people I enjoy.
Protein.
Oh, brutal.
And iron.
Oh, yeah. Good job. As you might imagine, China, like the government, isn't super excited with what's going on.
She's going to get hunted down, I'm sure.
Because people are being made into necklaces. But they cannot bring Ching Shih down. And they're trying.
Look at her fleet.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck.
Even when they get help from other countries, they can't do it. Every time they try, they fail. Ching Shih's power was so great that she started to affect political relationships and trade.
I mean, it makes sense. She's a whole force.
I know. When China attempted to take her down in 1808, her men jumped off their boats, swam to the Chinese ships, burned the towns along the water with nearly 100 villagers being executed, and then hung their, guess what? Heads from the trees as a warning. Maybe don't try that.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Richard got off real easy.
Yeah, he did. Take that caterpillar right about now.
Right? He's like, you know what? I'm good, Ching Shih. I could not eat another leg. I'm going to go back down to my rat hole. And thanks for my cannonball. Ching Shih ruled successfully and undefeated until her retirement in 1810.
Oh.
When the leader of the Black Flag Fleet started eyeing the Red Flag Fleet and tried to gain power, failed, obviously. He then approached the Chinese government because at the time, the government was offering a free pass to pirates if they surrendered. Do you remember that? They did it for Anne Bonny too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But when his meetings went poorly, Ching Shih recognized an opportunity and walked right into the Governor General's office to start a 2-day negotiation.
Whoa.
During this negotiation, Ching Shih was able to secure jobs in the military for any of her crew who wanted it.
What?
Cheng Pao,
70,000 people.
her husband/son, received a rank position with his own ships in the Navy. Wow. The pirates did not have to return any of the valuables they had acquired to date.
Yes.
None of her crew would be punished. And a transitional financial package was awarded to the crew to help them get set up in a non-pirate life if they didn't go into the military.
This is incredible. That just shows how much of a force she is.
Yeah. The Chinese government was just so thankful to have Ching Shih surrender that they gave her everything she asked for, even pensions for some of the older pirates.
Oh,
stop it. Don't. Oh
my
gosh. She's like, hey, listen, a lot of guys are missing ears, so they're going to need some extra benefits. I don't know how it happened, but they all have their heads.
For now.
With that, Ching Shih retired on land, and Cheng Pao lived until 1822.
Okay.
Rumors circulated before and after her death that Ching Shih continued to use her business savvy to run a successful brothel and or gambling house, which absolutely she did. Come on now. She's not just going to sit at home knitting.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Cutting the heads off chickens, trying to relive her glory days. But none of those claims can be substantiated, so we don't know. Ching Shih lived to be 69 years old, passing away in 1844.
Dude, that was like not long ago.
No, it was a good time ago. I mean, pretty good.
I mean, but you think about it. Like,
pretty good.
I feel like I don't really know Chinese history really well, but I know they were a big empire for a while. Then they kind of tapered off. It's amazing what she's able to do. And she can live till, what did you say, 69?
69, yeah. And Grace was in her 70s. And both of these women were so successful and have not been captured in history.
Right.
Ching Shih is the most successful pirate
Truly.
ever.
And you never hear of her. I want a whole series. I want books. I want movies.
Knocks it out of the park. Not even close.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, well, Blackbeard had 300 and she had 350. I mean,
no.
Goodbye, Blackbeard.
Yeah.
That many people she beheaded. So get out of town.
Exactly.
That was her beheading allotment for the month.
Exactly.
But honestly, though, I'm joking about beheading because it's so gruesome and uncomfortable. But I bet you that
she had a sharp sword. Oh,
well, yeah. I bet you she didn't do it. But I bet you it's one of those things you don't have to do often.
Because it sends a signal.
Yeah.
Especially if you wear a necklace.
You just kind of have to mention that.
Yeah.
And then people are like, okay, no problem.
Yeah, like, okay, she's serious.
Yeah. But, then she also beheaded all the villagers.
Yeah,
so
that kind of sucks.
It's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, so there you go. Now, what these two women have in common, why I paired them together is because Anne Bonny was wild.
Yes.
Reckless.
Yes.
Just
not a great planner.
No.
But these women are
really
totally
a fighter.
Different.
She just was like, I'm going to go drink some rum and get on a boat because I'm bored of my daddy.
Exactly.
These two women were very strategic, very smart, patient, intelligent. Were able to do what a lot of people can't, which is switch their perspective and switch their thinking when they realized it was time.
Yeah.
When it was time to stop, they both stopped.
That's true. You see, they both had those vital negotiations.
Yeah, they're both good at negotiations and they both shot their shot because
You only have one cannonball sometimes.
I was just going to say, she probably would have borrowed Richard's cannonball. I hope he's still around. I hope he survived off the caterpillars. Because I bet some of her pirates were mad at her for doing this.
Yeah,
Ching
probably.
Shih. And I bet Ireland was mad at Grace, some of them, for meeting with the queen. And so they didn't care. They had to do what was best for themselves or their family.
She did amazing for her crew. I mean, that's 70,000 people she took
That's
care
what I'm
of.
saying. They looked out.
It's
She
so
looked out for her
cool.
crew, and Grace looked out for her children.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm sure her crew too, but
So
you know.
freaking cool. I want to know everything about her. How do you say her name again?
Ching Shih is the one I went with, but there's 3 different names but they all mean variations of her husband's name. So nobody even knows her real name.
That's wild. What a badass.
Ching Shih was the most different name. That's why I went with it, because it got confusing. Because you're basically just saying Zheng Yi and Zheng Yi Sao, which is Zheng Yi's wife.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You said there's a drawing of her?
I mean, they have depictions of her.
I have a depiction in my head already.
Cheng Pao, if he's wearing
a
purple cloak.
What is she wearing?
I mean, there's no way she's just showing up in sweatpants. You know what I mean? She's got to be delivering. And
that's just the Red Fleet.
I know. I'd like to think she wore red.
I know. I'm thinking very dramatic eye makeup.
Oh, I hope so.
And bright red lipstick.
Come on, Richard. Nobody cared about the cannonballs. Tell us.
I know. God, describe her a little bit.
She looks like. Draw us a picture. Poor Richard.
Poor Richard. I mean, he got out of there, though. He's fine.
I mean, probably not now.
Well, unless he's a vampire.
Right.
Which we cover often.
One of us always says that.
That's our obsession with vampires.
All right. So what are your last words?
I mean, best episode. I mean, what a great episode for our 100th. What a great story of these 2 women. I mean, I'm pumped right now. I'm riding out on a high.
I'm going to go eat some caterpillars.
Hell yeah.
And roll some cannonballs. All right. Well,
I'm pumped.
I could see it. I wish you could see her face right now.
I want to go be a pirate right now. I'm on a port.
I cannot believe you are wearing a pirate shirt right now.
I mean, it's crazy.
You didn't know. I didn't tell you.
I had no idea.
No.
No idea. And here I am in Skull and Crossbones.
Well, Grace O'Malley and Ching Shih.
Long live the queens.
2 incredible women.
Incredible. Their brains.
I'm scared.
Yes.
Of both of them.
Yeah.
I'm not deserting my post. I'll tell you that.
You better stay where you are.
I am not moving. Don't you worry. All right. Well, who should listen?
Everybody. But especially people in Ireland and China. People who love pirates. So exciting. Sailors and mariners. I want to say kids, but maybe not. Maybe like older teenagers. It's a very exciting story.
Specific.
People who admire cannonballs. And
just the one.
Just one. You're right. Just one cannonball. And pipers.
Oh, don't love the pipes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm in love with my image of Donald, which is just
Does he have
the
tights
best.
on?
Of course he does.
And a little cap.
Do you know in all of the, maybe you might have missed these a little bit, in all of the really early, like old school Disney movies, they always have the same
tights.
kind of people, and they have that one guy always playing the flute or like drinking out of his...
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's how I'm picturing too.
He's in like Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
He's the guy who falls asleep under the table drinking from his instrument. That's how I picture Donald.
Oh my God, it's perfect.
He's just doing his thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just living his life.
Grace is off just risking her life.
Doing her thing.
And doing her thing, cutting her hair off. Well,
I'm glad
you liked it. Yeah, here you go. Happy 100th.
Happy 100th.
Thanks for sticking around with me and not breaking up with me today.
got pretty dicey at the start.
I know. This has been a real emotional roller coaster when you have made your big announcement. Okay, well, you can find us on all the platforms at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. Just send us recommendations just like this episode. Okay, bye.
Okay, there you go. You send us recommendations for Teas and Crimes. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
We appreciate you. Thanks for sticking it out with us through these 100 episodes.
That's beautiful. Do you think Donald the Pipes could lay down the track for that?
Yeah, hell yeah, he could.
Grace, it's my flute. I don't know.
Grace.
Grace.
Stop touching my cannonball.
Why is Richard in this story? Dummy. Richard's a crossover. He's 200 years old.
He is a vampire.